Well, believe it or not, the winter sports calendar is drawing to a close. Welcome to another edition of the Beech Grove Scouting Report. I'm Mark Janes, not joined this week by Matt English, our athletic director and head basketball coach. Got some responsibilities in terms of running the girls sectional and also some family issues. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. The passing of his mother-in-law, and he's tending to family business this week, but still tending to his responsibilities here at Beech Grove. But we're happy to have with us in his first season as the boys high school wrestling coach here at Beech Grove High School. We welcome Matt Irwin to the show. Coach, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. I guess you are good because you're into the semi-state round and you're still coaching.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Always a good thing.
Now we got two through last week. Evan Smiley at 126 and Trevon Sevion at 145, and we'll talk about them in just a moment. But when the email went around school about the results from last Saturday, I think that you as a staff and Beech Grove should be proud of a young man by the name of DeMonte Dawkins, because for all intents and purposes, you're of the opinion, and I think a lot of other people are too, that he should be wrestling this weekend as well. Tell us what happened with DeMonte.
We were making ourselves a comeback there in the third period. We were down by 4 or 5 points in the second, and DeMonte finally flipped the switch and started wrestling like he knows how to wrestle, and started laying it on the kid from Perry, started taking him down at will, putting it on him, and we're down to the last 15 seconds or so, and he hits a nice little boot scoot, and behind him we have both of his legs, and the Perry guy's on his hands and knees, and we have a takedown for legitimately almost 10 seconds, and the referee does not call it. Which costing him a chance to move on to the semi-state and most likely a chance to the state tournament, because the best four guys, in my opinion and our coaching staff's opinion, is that the best four guys in that semi-state came out of our regional, and so that's probably costing him a chance to walk out at Bankers Life Fieldhouse next weekend.
And I think the thing that you were most proud of, from what I understand, I was not there, but from what I'm hearing, no young man could have been expected to have handled that with more grace and more class than DeMonte did.
Yeah, I was so proud of the way that he handled himself. All year long as a coaching staff, we've talked to the boys about, it says a lot about how you handle adversity, about your character and things like that, and he handled it about as well as anybody could handle it. He came back and fought back to the wrestlebacks after. It's hard to lose that match to move on, and went ahead and won the rest of his matches that day to be the true alternate for that weight class. And so I came up and I told him more than once I was very proud of the way that he acted and the way that he carried on and wrestled the rest of the day.
I heard that he was a lot calmer about all of that than his coaching staff was.
Most likely.
Well, you're going to fight for your kids. You're going to fight for your kids.
I've never seen a call that bad in 20 years of being around the sport. And it wasn't just my opinion or Coach Walpole's opinion or Coach Cross or any of our coaches. It was every coach in that gym. And so it is what it is. And like I told DeMonte, we have to control what we can control. Right. And like I said, he handled the adversity as well as anybody could have handled it.
You think that's going to put enough of a taste in his mouth for him to do the work in the offseason and be one of your leaders coming back next year?
Definitely. Kid has no quit. He's very resilient. And last summer, I mean, his last year, he lost 20-something matches. And I tell this story over and over again to our guys. He lost 20-something matches last year. Came back this year and won 32. Put in a full off season. Took him to camps. Took him to tournaments. Wrestled, practiced, worked his butt off. Was in the weight room, and the hard work started to pay off. If you talk to him, he's not satisfied, which is what you want to hear.
Sure.
And because the sky's the limit for that kid, and he's very athletic, he's very talented, and as he continues to work with our coaching staff and the different opportunities that he's provided through wrestling, he'll be one of the best next year.
Trevon Sevion at 145 moves on to the semi-state, and I think Trevon is a kid who, quite frankly, has been one of your leaders throughout the course of the season, and I'm sure you're not surprised at the fact that he's in the semi-state.
No, not at all. Ever since I met Trevon, the expectations were very high for him just because of the type of athlete that he is. His biggest opponent was his mind for the most part, and so over the course of this year, he's grown more mentally than he has even more so as a wrestler. He's grown quite a bit as a wrestler, but mentally he's become much tougher, and it's propelled him to the place that he's at now, and hopefully propels him even further after this weekend. So he's become very mentally tough. He doesn't complain. and he just goes out there and he gets the job done, which is great for our guys to see, not only leading it as an example, but he leads vocally sometimes too.
Talk about what Trevon has to do and how he is prepared this week to get ready for Newcastle.
The main things for Trevon is that he's just got to control the center of the mat. There's not very many kids in the state of Indiana that can control how quick he is. They can't really handle it, and their number one game plan is just to pressure into him so that he backs up and get him on his heels. So if we do a nice job of controlling the center of the mat and letting him explode into his shots, we'll be just fine.
That's one of those weight classes, the 145-pound weight class, one of those that I think offers that rare combination of speed and strength. You know, at the lower weight classes, I'm not saying a kid like DeMonte, for instance, at 106 isn't strong, because he is. Clearly, he has to be. But clearly, there's a difference at 106 to, say, up when you get into the 170s and closer to the heavyweights. But 145, the 150s, those weight classes are particularly difficult because those kids are typically strong and fast.
Oh, yeah. And he's one of the strongest and fastest at that weight, too, which is a great advantage going in. And that weight class in a semi-state is very deep. But like we told Trevon, as long as he's got it up here in his head this weekend and he does the things that he knows he needs to do, we'll be fine this weekend because there's not anybody in that weight class that he can't handle physically or with his speed or anything like that. So
here we are talking about Evan Smiley again at 126. We had Evan in the studio last week. He was the Edward Jones Investment Scholar Athlete of the Month here at Beech Grove High School. And the guy, in terms of a scholar athlete, is the total package.
Yeah, he's a great kid. Love having him in the room. You couldn't really ask for anything better. He's got a great attitude. He works his butt off, and he gets great grades. You know, it's somebody that you don't have to worry about through the course of the season, wondering what they're doing. In the classroom, you always know that he's taking care of it, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. So
clearly his day went very, very well for him last weekend at the regional. What does he have to do this week to prepare to be successful at the semi-state?
We got to do a great job of, we call it tide changing tides, which is just more moving your opponent so that we can get better opportunities to score off our shots. Evan just needs to let it go. He's so good at snapping people down and putting their face on the mat and going behind him that we need to do a little bit better job of taking some shots and scoring late in a match when we have the opportunity to score, to put people away so it's not close.
How much video do these kids look at during the week? How much have you looked at from last weekend going into this week?
Normally, it's usually myself or Coach Walpole that will look at it, and normally me. There's not too many times that I sit down and watch it with them unless I see something that's really glaring that I said I just wanted to take a look at and say, look at what you're doing, so that they have a better understanding of what it looks like from our standpoint and the referee's standpoint, so they understand why certain things are being called or why they're not getting the job done in certain situations. But they do a really good job, and the whole team has, throughout this course of the season, of coming back on Mondays or Tuesdays after a weekend tournament and fixing the things that we need to fix by them just being very reflective on their wrestling and then coming back and fixing it that next week.
Videotape's a nice ace to have up your sleeve from a coaching perspective, because there's an old saying, film doesn't lie, does it?
No, it does not, no.
No, and so anytime they say, no, I didn't do that, you can show them, yes, right there you did. Yeah. Coach English and I touched on it earlier this year when we were talking about your wrestling program. I'm a little on the old school side because of my age, and earlier this year, I think it might have been one of your first home meets, it didn't take me long to figure out that our program was in good hands. Just simply the way that you brought your kids into the gym, the way they prepared, what they went through in terms of their pre-match routine, their warm-ups and everything. Teams typically that are successful give you the impression from the time they walk through the doors that they're there for business, and that's the approach that it's clear to me that your wrestling program tries to take.
Yeah, I came from Belmont High School, which is a very storied wrestling program.
Absolutely.
And Coach Walpole comes from Pear Meridian, which is also a very storied program. And so we have a very good vision of what success looks like and feels like. And so we try to carry that over from the examples that we've had in the past and bring it over here to these kids. And you know, they work hard all week. And so that when we come out there to compete, it's time to showcase our skills and put a show on for the crowd and show them what we've been doing. So hopefully as we continue to work on that and our numbers grow, the stands will grow too, and we'll build it back up.
How big is it from a coaching standpoint, especially being a first-year head coach, to have the guys on the staff that you mentioned along with Jim Cross at your disposal?
It's invaluable. I mean, you can't really put a price on that because of the experience, and you just know that every kid's in good hands. I mean, there's so much knowledge in that room with the coaches that we have, and the fact that it makes it a fun atmosphere for the kids and stuff, and knowing that everything's at our disposal.
I just wish Coach Cross was more outgoing. I mean, the guy's so laid back.
Yeah. We have the end of practice time. We call it Coach Cross time, right. Where he gets to run some conditioning stuff with the guys, and you say it's Coach Cross time, he starts getting the whistle and yelling like crazy, and you see the guys kind of go, oh man, and they start picking it up. But you know, it's like I said, it's great having him around.
That guy could be down to his last dollar. You can swear he's on top of the world.
I think he's about 21 years old. That's about how old I think he is.
So what's it like making the transition? I've done it. I did it in high school football, and we were talking a little bit before we went on today. There is a decided difference between being an assistant and being a head coach, no matter what the sport.
There's a lot of work that goes into it as far as the, I call it the administrative side, as far as dealing with parents, making sure that you have everything in line for your tournaments, when you leave, and different things like that. But the coaching staff has done a great job of kind of doling out those responsibilities, and everybody kind of doing their share, which makes it a little bit easier on myself and everybody else included, that we kind of share the responsibilities and try to not put any one load on one person. So.
Kids like Evan and Trevon Sevion, Evan Smiley and Trevon Sevion, have to help you too from a coaching standpoint when you have leadership like that you can say to your younger guys, you need to be like this.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, like I said, they lead by example, and they go hard in the room constantly, and so it's nice for those kids that are in the room to kind of see what it is that they're striving for, and what they should act like, and that's good to a room. It sets a tone, because you can walk into a room, whether it be a practice for any sport, and kind of get the overall feeling of how the kids are or how they're practicing. And it's nice to have those guys in there that are good tone setters for the practice, and they're going to be in there going hard.
How important is it not only for them as individuals, talking about Evan and Trevon, how important is it for them and the Beech Grove Wrestling program to head to the semi-state this weekend, not hoping to move on, but expecting to move on?
It's key. Confidence is a huge factor in any sport, knowing that you're going to, win, thinking that you're going to win and expecting to win, because if you go out there thinking that you just want to keep it close, or you just want to keep it respectable, or, not give up a takedown, you're not going to wrestle well, you're not going to compete the way you want to compete. And so we always tell the guys, go out there and expect to win, and you'll wrestle like it too. Go out there and get after it.
Well, I want to wish those kids the best of luck. Congratulations to you on an outstanding job your first year. I know you've impressed a lot of people. A lot of people within the administration and the athletic department are very, very pleased with you and your staff, and I think your kids are going to do a great job of representing themselves, their family, your program, the Beech Grove School Corporation, and the community of Beech Grove, and we wish them the best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you very much.
That's Matt Irwin. He's our wrestling coach, the head wrestling coach here at Beech Grove High School. Want to touch on a few basketball notes for you. We're actually taping this on a Thursday, and tonight Coach English and the Beech Grove Hornets will be at home against Coach Bidding and the Ritter Raiders. That should be a dandy basketball game. The Beech Grove Hornets, coming off a loss last week to Decatur Central, fell behind early, played well the second half, played better, but still came up short 77-63. We haven't seen you since they went to nearby Lutheran and picked up a big win. It was an 11-2 run to start the fourth quarter after the first three periods had been tied, and they were able to pick up a big conference win on the road to hold the state's leading scorer at the time in check and pick up that win 60-51. Ritter comes into play tonight with a record of 9-6. A couple of health-related notes for you. Corey Sublett had rolled an ankle last week, but he was able, thanks to Carl and our training staff, to get back on the basketball floor. He was able to not only play, but actually, I believe, led the Hornets in scoring. He scored 16 points on the night. Zach Zollner is in the process of having an MRI. That kind of depletes the bench a little bit. He's been giving Coach English and the squad some quality minutes. He may have a stress fracture. An MRI today or tomorrow will give us the results on that. Hopefully, if it's not too bad, maybe they can get him back in a couple of weeks as they head toward tournament time. But that's right, we are headed toward tournament time. Just a handful of games left. On the 15th, you can help celebrate Valentine's Day by spending the evening with the Hornets as they host Triton Central. The 16th, they will be at Batesville and then wrap up the season on February 22nd with the home game against Whiteland. Again, Coach English and company making a big push to get ready for the tournament. Don't forget, the wrestling semi-state this weekend. Best wishes go out to Evan and Trevon and the entire Beech Grove staff as they get ready for the semi-state this weekend. Hopefully, Coach English will be back in the fold next week. We thank Coach Matt Irwin for joining us on another edition of the Beech Grove Scouting Report. I'm Mark James. So long for now.